Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be joined with our shaman called Ryan. And medicine that we're going to be using, and also everything about the Bali retreat. So, if you've got any questions about the retreat or about plant medicine in general, then we will be joined with Ryan in a second, and he will talk about all the stuff in the Bali retreat. So write down in the comments if you have done plant medicine before or if you are interested in the retreat. Hello, Ryan. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Hopefully you can see me well enough. Let me move this round.
Can see you and can hear you. And you're wearing, I think you've changed your like space, haven't you? You've made it different from when I was there last.
Yeah, it's a lot different now. Obviously, a lot of the traditions that I work with kind of bring those through a lot more, and so yeah, it's hugely different now.
It's interesting, right? Because you do a lot of retreats, and I find like after every retreat I do or go for healing or inner work, like you kind of upgrade and you change, like you have quantum shifts, right? And
Yeah.
plant medicine is something like that. And some people get a bit, a lot of people are doing that right now, but some people are also quite worried about it and they might have questions. So I've asked anyone who's watching whether they could like write down in the comments about anything
Yeah.
they want to know about the Bali retreat, about the plant medicine. But before we start, can we talk a little bit about your path, your journey, how you got to where you are? 'Cause it's quite interesting, I find.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody who's watching this, and hopefully you find what I speak about very enjoyable, and maybe you can take something from it as well. So let's kind of start. Actually, we're going to come to me in a minute, but let's start with the whole idea of shamanism. I think that's a really good place to start because there's so many people out there who throw that word out there. Hey, from Canada. So many people throw that word out there, and we don't really know exactly what it means. And there's so many different cultures that use different words, you see. So the word shaman, and I'm not going to go crazy with this now, but just to give us a bit of an understanding, the word shaman means he who knows, he who sees. Now, if you go to some parts of the world where shamanism originated from, which is actually not necessarily South America, it's more kind of the Asia sort of land. So like Mongolia, Siberia, Tibet, etc. Hence why you see a lot of what's behind me. Um, if you go and ask them what the word shaman is, they go, I don't know what you're talking about. And what's happened is all the anthropologists that kind of went through and tried looking at shamanism, they kind of got hold of this word and they kind of manipulated a particular word and threw that out there. So it's a real buzzword now, the word shaman. And kind of in the Western world, a lot of us, well, a lot of people kind of think that the word shaman has this like real power and it's this magnificent thing and want to throw the label on themselves. And they go, shamanic Reiki, they go shamanic card mechanic, shamanic dentist. And it's like, that's not shamanic. And the amount of people who say, hey, I work with animals, I must be a shaman. It's like, no, that's not what shamanism is. It's far more deeply rooted in that. And it's a system basically that has allowed us to survive on the lands, to connect. So our ancestors would have worked with shamanism, and it's huge. So the thing is, it's really important to know about shamanism is that it's not about plant medicine necessarily. Yes, I do work with plant medicine, and we're going to go into that for sure. And obviously, any questions everybody's got, please ask those as well. But in essence, it's really about the ability to communicate and connect with the spirits through the ability of trance on any kind of set moment to be able to go into that space. And there's people out there who can only talk to spirits when they're working with plant medicine, and that's not shamanism. And shamanism is very ritualistic. There's a lot of rituals that are passed down orally, generationally. So a lot of the stuff that I kind of bring through has been lineages that have been tried and tested, and they're very powerful ceremonies that make a very direct, quick change. So that's a quick overview on that without me going too crazy on it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I've worked with shamans in the past in England and in other places where there was no plant medicine and it was more sort of spirit related. And then I came across yourself because someone on TikTok was like reading my energy and they're like, you have to see Ryan. And it's interesting because you live so close by as well. And we've had quite a few sessions, and I'm always in awe about how much training, how much insight, how much wisdom you actually have, because you offer so many different modalities. And every time I see you, you kind of see me offering something new or something different. We never have the same session. It's always
Yeah.
deeper, it's always different, it's always elevated. So I really, really appreciate that. But yes, into the whole shaman identity. I've had people that I've met who calling themselves left, right, and center. You know, I was on an Abraham Hicks cruise and I was trying to get my seat, and some woman pushed my stuff out of the way, jumped over the seats and sat down, and she was going to rip my head off. And then later she was like, "Oh, I'm a shaman," because she heard me talk about plant medicine, and she started giving me hugs and stuff. And I thought, what kind of shaman is this, you know? But we all have shadow, we all have issues. So how did you get onto this path yourself? What drew you into this?
Yeah, well, one thing is that I never actually chose this, so we're going to go into that now. And that I think is a really important part of it. So when I was born, I was actually born unconscious. I actually wasn't breathing. Now, it is believed in shamanism, many different people, will say different things, but it's believed you had to have had like a death experience. So the moment I came into the world, things obviously are a little bit different. Now, growing up, I had all these experiences, all these profound thoughts. And I mean, I remember my grandparents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I remember being sat in the car at 6 years of age, having this thought about that actually nobody else is really here, it's only me, and they're all concept of myself. And that's such a big thing for a 6-year-old to kind of be thinking about. So I've had a lot of this kind of downloads been going through my life, and a lot of these crazy lucid dreams and experiences that have unfolded through. And then I kind of shut that down because we're actually from a lineage of Romany Gypsy. So which is really powerful, really potent lineage that kind of runs through us. So, my mom, my nan, my great nan, they've all done, kind of readings and tarot and spirit work and things like that. So, ironically, I kind of grew up thinking it was all a bit of a load of rubbish because I didn't really have anybody that could kind of teach me. And then you kind of go into your teens, and then you kind of get caught up with the world and working and to do all these different stuff. And then a friend of mine, so if anybody wants to read about true shamanism, a friend of mine, Nicholas Breezewood, has wrote a book called Walking with a Tiger. And he really talks about this really beautifully. And I didn't realize until obviously we got into deeper conversations. And I explained my story to him when I first met him. And he says, "Yeah, you had a shaman sickness." And I was like, what's that? And then he kind of unfolded. And what happens is if you don't step into the shamanic path early on, which is what was calling for me, but I didn't understand. The spirits then start really coming in quite hard, and sometimes you can have physical illnesses, or you can have illnesses like severe depressions and things like that. And that's what I went through, and it was that awoken me, that made me open up. And since from then, I've never really kind of thought, oh, this is something I really want to do. It's what I've got to do. This is what I have to do. Is how I have to show up. It's never been a kind of a, hey, let's do a weekend workshop. Oh, I fancy that. Let's go and do it. It's been something that I don't really have a choice with. I've came into this earth with this vessel, with this wisdom and this knowledge that kind of comes through, and spirit guide me through that space. And I'm genuinely a servant for spirit. And everybody here who's watching me too, or re-watching this after it's live, it's a space of service really for the community.
It's really interesting because a lot of the twin flames watching, they'll have the same experiences, and especially the divine masculines, where they're avoid their purpose, their mission. You almost like kind of like don't want to go there because it's too weird, maybe. And then the universe, the spirit, or whatever it is, keeps bringing those signs, keeps bringing those messages, smack bang in the head, gives you the ego deaths, makes your life not go well in that direction. Because you had quite a regular life, right? Like career wise, you had quite like a regular corporate
Yeah.
corporate life, you had a nice car, whatever going what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing well, I was earning good money in my early 20s, driving around in brand new cars and, all the nice stuff. I think one year I had like 7 motorbikes. So I was just living in the life of the material stuff, and completely stripped that down and really stepped into the purpose a lot more, to the point that I only worked 2 days a week in the end, and having to, put envelopes with all my money together to make sure I pay my bills, and really stripped everything down to the purest form, and kind of worked through a lot of stuff. I tried to get rid of all of my forms that I could, and realised that was kind of impossible, actually. That was a good fun game, that was.
So what got you back into, I guess you were running away from it, but then you got back into shamanism, and it's quite a intense, maybe you could say, well, it's all in, isn't it? It's all in there. Now, when we have sessions, I see you speaking with spirit, you're channeling stuff, you're doing all sorts of clearing things, like, and you're really you hold space. Like I remember we did a mushroom ceremony one time, and you were just like for the whole 6 to 8 hours, you were just running around me and clearing stuff and I was like, chill out, sit down, man, it's all good. And you were like, you don't know what I can see, and you don't know what's going on, and you were clearing all the dark entities and spirits and stuff. Like you're very committed, you're not lazy with it, and you're very you care about the person a lot, right? So I
Yeah.
want to know like what got you like back into it, and then also like what training you've done because you've done a lot. You're always upgrading yourself and learning new things and investing in yourself. You know, you always want to, I feel like you're a kind of person who always wants to be best at their game as well, like kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think it's really important to also say that, that the shamanic path isn't one that you can just literally do on a weekend or even just a year. I mean, I do a year course, but it's not actually enough in the fact that traditional shamanism, you need 15 years, and I've been doing this over a decade now. And there's still new things that come. I've had new spirits that are arriven that I didn't even know existed. And then luckily I've got people around me that I can check in with that open that doorway more so for me. So it's kind of, I think, really the truth of the matter is that, there's this inner calling that has happened since I was a child. And, we can go through that at another point. But I think, like you've said there, it is really an act of service. So for me, when I'm showing up for everybody, I am fully showing up. And a lot of the time, when I do evening ceremonies, they've kind of calmed down a little bit now. And obviously, I don't do medicine ceremonies in the UK. I make that very clear. Um, what I will say to you is that a lot of the time I'm awake the whole time. So what will happen is everybody does their medicine ceremony. They finish at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that, depending on what time we start and where we are. I'll then often stay awake till like 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I'm still available for anybody that needs me. And a lot of the time, when we haven't had it, we've not had places for people to go off and go to sleep. I've slept, well, I've kind of sat in the space watching over everybody, to make sure that they're absolutely fine. And obviously, there's never any concern with that, but you step into a dream state, if that makes sense. So it unfolds emotions and stories still, and that's what's really potent about it.
And what I do like about you, you are organized, but you're also committed to the individual, and you've done lots of retreats. And when I've gone to other places or worked with other people or other centers and stuff, I've not felt that genuine availability and care that I feel like we will get with you. And
Yeah.
that's why I really wanted to reach out. And it's so interesting because I was thinking about this, and then I reached out to you, and you had been thinking about Bali for a while beforehand, or something like that. Like it's almost like spirit was conspiring to create it and make it happen. Like, tell us a bit more about why were you inspired to come to Bali?
Well, I do retreats in the Amazon rainforest in Bolivia. So I just came back from that last month. That was very powerful. And I was saying, I really want to kind of, because I've done like Spain and different places, in the jungle and etc. And I thought, I really want to do somewhere different. And Bali kept appearing. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'd like to do Bali. So I kept saying it to people. I want to do Bali. I want to go Bali. I want to go Bali. And I was saying that last year. And then lo and behold, you messaged me and you were like, hey, do you want to do Bali? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So there was this calling, this manifestation, or whatever it may have been, spirit are aligning me into it, has brought us into this moment now for something that is going to be extremely potent, extremely powerful, and hopefully everybody can see the authenticity that I bring through with that space. And I'll hold that space with every single one of you. Like you said, it's when you're with me, I'm fully connected to you. I'm not thinking of other things. I'm not going off anywhere else. I'm listening to everything that you say, everything that you're expressing and working through and looking through. And a lot of people say to me, which I find quite funny, is to say that, Ryan, when you look at me, you look like you're looking into my soul. And
Mm.
really, I guess I kind of am. You can't hide things from me, which I guess for some people is quite scary. But in a way, it's a real space where actually your vulnerabilities come up and you can be seen authentically.
Yeah, and I think that that is a genuine thing because, like, when I did mention it to you, you weren't concerned about how much and cost and things like that. You cared about the person and what we're going to do. So, and I'm like that too. It's not about, it's about the individual, the care, helping them to grow. So, and the time we're doing it actually in January, it's a time when a lot of Aquarian planets are lining up. Bali is a portal as well. It's great energies. You know, obviously we're going to do it for twin flames. Some people are bringing their partners with them. But the ceremonies that we're going to do now, I've done all of them with you. So that's why I obviously I only want to work with people who I know they're good at what they do. So we have various medicines that we are going to do, and I would like you to like explain maybe some people who don't know what it is or they're a bit worried about it. Like
Yeah.
first of all, shall we go into cacao? That's like one of the first ones we're going to do. We have the timetable we can share with people when they sign up or whatever. But what is cacao? How do you take it? What does it do for you?
Yeah. So cacao is a really beautiful medicine, actually, and it's a medicine. Depending on traditions you go with, you'll find it more so kind of like South America, Mexico, stuff like that. And she brings through, and I say she brings through this feminine energy that's really nurturing and really loving. And basically, we make a drink with it. Now, we don't just kind of whack it all together. It's all about the intentions and the beauty. And you know, when people say that food has been made with love, and you can really taste the difference. When I create and bring Mother Cacao into that space for us. I actually sing her, a song and connect with her and really get everybody to put their energy into that space. And you basically drink it. Again, I'm not going to go too much into the ins and outs of absolutely everything because I'm sure people don't want to listen to me rambling on about everything. But she's a drink that we work with, and it is a stimulant, and it does allow us to connect in a lot more with our heart space. Sometimes it can really ground us, and it's a medicine that allows us, when we come into that heart space, to really connect into the deeper realms of everything that can be. Now, I don't use this word very often, but I will in this moment. It changes our frequency. And when we kind of come out of the density frequencies that we've been in, it allows us to connect to these higher frequencies. And these higher frequencies are possible for ourselves to connect into all possible versions of us. And we could really connect into that as well. So it's a very powerful, very beautiful, and potent medicine, but it's not a medicine that is like a psychoactive. It's not a medicine that's like mind altering. It's very subtle. It's almost like having, a coffee with a good few espressos in it. So it can make you feel quite energetic, which is really beautiful. And if we work with it, the way that I plan for us to do is that we're going to create movement with that and really listen into the body and listen to how it is that, our body's trying to talk and communicate, with allowing Mother Cacao to help us come into our vulnerability of how we show up into that inner realm as well. So it's a really beautiful medicine like that.
And what's interesting is before I came to you, like I was really scared of all these things. Like, oh my God. And since then, I've done all of them pretty much. I can't even believe that. When we first started, I was like, with cacao was the first one we did. And I remember that for me, I could actually, because I could see things as well. I could see Mother Cacao, and it was really, really interesting. But what I was going to ask you, the question was, when I have done cacao since then with friends or other people, they give a little small, a little bit of amount, like this much. But with you, we had the whole pot, like it was a whole big pot. You should drink. It was nice. It was a bit gritty as well, but it was natural and raw. So what's the difference? Because other people seem to be giving you a little shot, but you gave quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, you have a ceremonial dose, which is about 42 grams. So everybody will have 42 grams. But for me, what Mother Cacao really taught me is that we should actually come into the space of accepting the raw that state of ourselves. And sometimes the raw part of ourselves doesn't taste very nice. And actually, it can be a little bit bitty, and it's not always quite smooth and easy. So when we, drink her, and I'm quite known for my cacao not being the best tasting cacao for a very specific reason, is that when you drink her, and I'm not saying she doesn't taste very nice, she's very bitter. But when we drink her, it's like we go through this process of going, oh, this isn't very nice. I'm like, yeah, but keep working through that stuff that you find difficult, because there's a reward at the end of that. And that's why I make her in that way, because she really teaches us to kind of break through those barriers that we create within our own mind. And I think sometimes, you just have a really small shot. You also don't connect into the medicine enough. A lot of time people are just trying to, you know, have huge ceremonies and you get tiny doses because that's all they can provide. And I think really, if you're going to work with Mother Cacao, you need to do it correctly, and it shouldn't be about money. It should be all about the connection that you have with the medicine. And for me, that's the most important part, is how you hold space for yourself and with her. It's a unity for both of you, really.
I found it to be slightly hallucinogenic, slightly. Would you say that's the case for all, or was that just for me? Like, I did feel the presence of Mother Cacao as a goddess, and I could feel it working on me. I don't know if that's normal.
Everybody's different. For some people the cacao can make them feel really grounded. For some people they can feel really kind of uplifted and really upbeat, and some people go into a real good meditative state. So it depends on the person. It's not, as I mentioned, a kind of a psychoactive compound that will send you into that state. But if you are naturally as yourself, Manny, you're in that space where you can connect to the higher realms, you can connect into the spirit of that very easily, and you will feel her, like you've just mentioned. You'll feel her energy with you and around you too.
And I think a lot of our twin flames are joining now. And if you have any questions, this is Ryan, our shaman, that's going to be there with us on the Bali retreat. So if you have questions about shamanism, about plant medicine, or not plant medicine, just healing in general, please write in the comments. But we're going to be doing the cacao ceremony as a group. And that's what we're going to start off with, right? And it's going to be really, really good. It's not going to be like your other ceremonies that you may have done. Like I said, other places I've had just a little shot and it's just watered down stuff. This is real hearty stuff you get. It's going to be really powerful. And like with Ryan, like you don't just give it and then just walk off. Like you actually work with the individuals. You work with the person. You'll call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You set the intention. You were making it for ages. You were calling to spirit. We're doing all the different. I don't know. You probably can explain it better. But the north, south, east, and west, and all that kind of stuff we were doing,
Yeah.
and it was a whole ritual, right? It's a whole ritual, and it goes on for a bit, and it's actually really amazing. And then the other one that I want to talk about is Rapé and Sananga. So we're
Mm.
thinking of doing a split group session of that. So two groups doing Rapé and Sananga. So what are those? What can they expect? I mean, I really love Rapé, especially. Sananga, I don't really love because it stings your eyes. It's a bit
Yeah.
stingy in your eyes, yeah?
Yeah. So we'll kind of break both of them down because they are separate medicines, but they work really well together. So one of the things is we'll start with the rapé or hape. So it's two different ways of saying it depending on who you speak to, but it's the same medicine. Now, I will really make this very, very clear, is that it does have mapacho involved. Okay, now mapacho is a pure tobacco. It's 10 times stronger than any cigarettes you can get your hands on in the UK as such. So it's known as Nicotina arowisca, which is a very beautiful, very potent and powerful medicine. Now, tobacco here, we very much disrespected it, and we have a lot of health issues. But where it's come from originally, without all the chemicals and additives we put on, it's actually a masculine spirit that allows us to purify our mind, our energy, and deep within the body and the organs, etc. Now, you can go and buy rapé from or hape from absolutely anywhere, but I'm going to say something really important here. If the intention has not been done correctly, you're going to be getting a lot of the other person's energy or the space of where it's prepared. So if somebody's just made it in their kitchen and their house is chaotic, you're putting that energy into your body. And that's really important, that you have somebody serving medicine that they know implicitly of the quality and the potency and the power of that medicine. Okay. Just because somebody has feathers and flowers and different things around them doesn't mean that it's good medicine. So don't get tricked by performance. It's really important that I say that. Okay. So what is hape? So we said obviously it's got tobacco in it. Now you can go to like Tesco or Asda or wherever. Okay. For those that don't know, it's supermarkets. And you can go and buy a herbal tea, which you can get for sleep, you can get for relaxing, you can get for calming, and they've all got different herbs that do different things. Now, rapé is very, very similar. There's not one, there's many different types, and they all do different things. Now, when you learn to listen and connect in with the medicine, which is obviously something I'm very, very very connected to, is you can tell where that medicine sends you, if it sends you down, if it sends you up. And when I say down, into the lower world, I'm not going to go into that now. And this is like the earth realms, not lower world like under earth and kind of the devil sort of stuff. It's not that. Okay. But
Trust
it's
me, the twin flames, we're all about shadow. We understand that. We understand the devil as well, actually. We've all been in those realms.
yeah, yeah, but this isn't specifically that particular round that I'm talking about. And so yeah, it will take you to different places, and the medicine that I'll probably give you will be very much unique to what the spirits kind of tell me that you need in that moment, and what Grandfather Mapacho tells me too. So I don't just come around with a blend and go, "Oh, you're going to have this." It's very unique. Everything I do is always bespoke to you and your needs, and how I hold that space with you is always unique to you too. Now
Yeah,
we
because
work with
you
something.
tend to have quite different types of flavors or varieties, right? And you tune into them. I don't know how you do it, but you kind of talk to the medicine. Carry on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is. It's connecting into that, and I think how I would kind of express that, it's about understanding the form of myself and how, you know, we all play different roles, and sometimes we've got to play that dance with each other, if that makes sense. And I just understand the dance that people are playing with themselves, and I help us really navigate that. So this is okay. So you got a tape and a caripe. Okay, so I'm not going to go too crazy in explanation. So this is a self-administration. So this goes up your own nostril and you blow it. And this one is what I actually connect to you with. So there's a bit of intention setting, and I'm not going to go through this too much, but in essence, I will listen to the medicine while I'm sat in front of you. And the medicine will tell me, number one, what you need to work with, and number two, what the intention needs to be. Now, as I mentioned, the medicine's very important with how it's been created. And then the other part of that is the intention that I bring through with that as well. Now, this obviously, tape allows us to connect with one another. So once I've listened to the medicine, I'll come to my heart and it will tell me, which I don't need to know anything about you. One thing you'll learn is I'm very intuitive. The medicine will tell me what the intention needs to be from the heart. Then I'll come to the mind and I'll go, okay, what do they need to work through the mind? I'll then bring the medicine by your heart and I'll start getting the medicine ready into our tape. I'll then place it up your left nostril first, and then I will then blow. And it'll be different for every person, but obviously those that have never done it before, I'll be nice and soft and gentle. Those that have done it before will go a little bit more. And everybody's dose will be different, subject to what I'm kind of told that you need to have. It's not about bigger the better. If anything, the smaller the better, because then you can actually connect into the medicine far more. But we'll work through that with each individual. So this then connects me and you together. I then blow this, sending it up. You'll then sit. Again, I'm skipping bits out so I don't over explain it.
It'll sting a little bit for a second, but then it is amazing. Carry on.
Yeah, so this is the thing to kind of say is at that point I'll be then getting the next nostril ready. At that point, your eyes are probably going to water a little bit. You're going to feel a bit of pressure in the back of their head, maybe. It's different for everybody, and sometimes it gets you to cough. Sometimes you feel a little bit nauseous with it. It's different for everybody. Okay, and then we then place it up and go up the next one. It's very important we have both nostrils done pretty much right next to each other, and it's quite an experience. Sometimes it can make us feel really heavy. It can give us like kind of the jitters a little bit. It can make us kind of go into anxiousness. And the way I'd kind of explain what it does, and I like saying this with some of the other spirits I work with, imagine you've got a glass of water. That glass of water is very murky, it's very dirty, and it's got full of stuff. We're all full of stuff. Every single one of us. I don't care who you are. We're all full of stuff. And imagine that the hape then comes into your body. It's like turning the clean tap on, and all of a sudden, all this stuff's coming out. And what happens is oftentimes is the stuff that you've been able to kind of keep under wraps is now starting to pour out of you. So you start feeling a bit overthinking. Your body starts going through these sensations. You start feeling a little bit sick or whatever it may be. And that process is really liberating to allow you to let go of this stuff. Now, sometimes people are sick with it, but not always the case. And sometimes it's the deep energy stuck within the body. I'll kind of work through that with you. And there's a few different ways that I do that. So again, I'm not going to go into it too much while we're on the live video, but if anybody has questions, please ask. But basically, we'll work through that and clear it. Now, there are people that will talk about doing like 7 times, which, you know, for initiations and things like that, and you really don't need to go into that. But I'll kind of serve it about twice. The first time be based on the masculine, the second time be based on the feminine. and how that kind of comes through the different intentions and blows and different things that I offer. That will put you into different spaces, and you really go into this deep meditative state that allows you to go through this purification. It's really beautiful. And I ask that you make sure that you spit into the bowl, because if you swallow, you're kind of keeping the energy into your body. So it's really important that you spit out all of the thoughts, all of the energy, all the stuff you're holding on to. You spit it out and you get it out of the body, and then you can blow your nose after on, but don't do it
Yeah,
straight
I
away.
find like it gets you into this like Buddha no mind or 0 point state, and then you do release it. And the more you've done it, the easier it gets. But it does help you to purge all those things. And you talked about, so that's hape, and then there's mapachu, which I'm hoping to do in a sort of, it's almost in a cigarette form that people will smoke, but they don't take it down to the lungs. They just take
Yeah.
it to the basically the mouth or the throat, and then they breathe it out, and it helps you to release also all the negative emotions and any anger, resentment, anything you want to forgive. So it's very powerful. Um, and what about Sananga? Should we move on to that one?
Yeah, so Sananga is an eye drop medicine basically, and this is another masculine plant that we kind of work with. And Sananga is basically an eye drop. Now, depending on how experienced you are with it, depends on how we take it. Oftentimes, you'll have your eyes closed, lay down on the floor, and we'll kind of put a small amount in the corner of each eye, just a small drop, and then you'll have a blink, and then you'll kind of close your eyes with it. And what will happen is it will be quite a stinging sensation that will kind of make its way through the head. And what this does is it really helps you see clearly of the things that you've been obviously not seeing clearly. And it gives you that
Mm.
purification. It opens a third eye up. It opens those rounds, but also gives you again another chance to purify yourself, to let go and surrender. And sometimes the more difficult the experience is with Sananga, it means that you've really needed it. If it's really easy and it doesn't touch you, well, then could potentially be quite a good space, subject to what it is that's going on. And it's a really good purification, really powerful plant medicine spirit that kind of comes through and works and cleanses you in those realms, really.
And we've used it before with me to do with the birthing ceremony, wasn't it? Like when you're coming out of the womb and whatever. And you said you were intuitive. I don't know if you're psychic or you see things or whatever it is, but I know that whenever we've had sessions, you've picked up things that were so innately there that I just even, couldn't even get myself. You've seen my twin flame many times. You've seen
Yeah.
that our chakras are completely aligned, like his to mine, like there's no tomorrow. So that's an amazing thing. And Sananga does help you to release a lot of stuff as well. So that's great. So far we've had cacao, which is feminine. We've had hape or rape, which is, and mapache, which is masculine, and sananga. And then the final one is mushrooms or psilocybin. Now, is that masculine, feminine, or does that not have a gender or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, it depends on who you speak to, really. The actual fruit body that you're working with is the reproductive system of the mycelium networks within the earth. So it depends on who it is that you speak to. And I tend not to really kind of get too caught up with, is it female, is it male? And again, it depends on the species that you work with as well, because just because it's psilocybin doesn't mean that it's exactly the same. They all talk completely different. None of them are the same. And that's why, again, it's really important to build relationship with these plant spirits or any of the spirits that we work with to understand them, if that makes sense. And they'll bring through a different wisdom and a different knowledge themselves. So the species that I tend to work with, I tend to stick with the same ones because I know how they'll work. Some of them that you may find that people hold in ceremony, they get people stuck in loops. They don't really help them understand what's going on. And this is quite a big subject here. So please, if you've got questions, make sure you ask, because there's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of people who aren't holding space correctly with the medicine. So so again, the species that I work with, they're very unique in how it is that they come through and how they talk and communicate. And what they do is they will basically guide me. So I'll just come over to you. You won't be saying anything. And a few people have said that it feels like I kind of zip into your journey and I'm with you, which is exactly what is happening. And I'm kind of in your reality of where you are. And I'm also perceiving the realities of your intentions, the reality of where you're going with it, the reality of the collective that's going on in the room. So I'm in, I'm not joking, 5, 6 different journeys just with you. And then if there's like 10 people there, you can calculate that, and you'll see how many different places my head's in. And it's almost like you have to kind of keep that fine place of not losing your own mind and bringing everything in. So the medicine talks and goes, right, this person here is going through this. You need to go and say this to them. You need to suggest them with this. You need to. I like to talk in riddles when I'm on medicine, so be prepared, everybody. Spirit like me to talk in riddles that get you working and breaking through things.
Ryan, shamans that do medicine, they tend to take a little bit themselves, like when they do
Yes.
ayahuasca or mushrooms. So you'll be taking a little bit just to
Yeah.
tap into the energy, right?
Yeah.
Um, and what's the difference between some people who have done mushrooms at parties and clubs and beaches and having a good time? Like, what's the difference between that and ceremony? It's different, right?
So different. It's a really good question because a lot of people that I've spoken to about mushrooms have had them before. They go, "Oh yeah, I had them at a friend's house, or I had them at the park, and they didn't do anything. They just gave me some funny colours, or I had a really bad trip." Which we're definitely going to talk about that because there's no such thing as a bad trip, but we need to navigate it correctly with integration. The thing is, when you sit with medicine intentionally, it's far more powerful. I'm not going to mention names, but there's somebody who works with me. They know who they are if they're watching. I met them on a ferry, and this person had done loads of medicines, anything you could think of, they'd done it all. And, came into the ceremony thinking, I'm just going to have a good time listening, to some songs or music or whatever it is. And it ain't going to be anything. And it turned out to be an absolutely life changing experience for them because there was a clear direction of how they needed to navigate it. And when I work in ceremony, I do ask everybody to stay in their own lane, meaning that you're not talking to anybody next to you. You're not trying to dance around the room. You're staying in your own lane, doing your own work. And that's really important, is the boundaries that we have in that space. And I think when you work with medicine outside, there's nobody really controlling what's going on for you. And you're like a beacon. It's almost like you're a light to a moth, and all the moths start coming in sometimes. So sometimes the experience can be really difficult for people because they're so open and they don't know how to protect themselves. And one thing that I'm extremely on, as you mentioned earlier, Manny, about me constantly doing this, moving that, protecting this, is you got to keep working. You can't just sit down and leave it because the energy builds up really quick, or there's spirits that want to try and come into the space, or the spirits that are around you that shouldn't be there, or whatever it can be. And you've really got to be on your A game and really connect into that space. Now, I'm quite fortunate. I don't necessarily have to sit with medicine. Oftentimes, I know who's having a good experience because I say good experience when I know they're on medicine, because I only have to be anywhere near them, and it's like I've had 10 gram of mushrooms myself, so it really amplifies it. But I do tend to have a little bit of medicine anyway, so I can listen in without having to go into people's energy field. So yeah, it's a very, very different experience. It can be absolutely life changing. But the important part that I really have to stress about this is people think the medicine does all the work for you. You can just literally turn up, have a load of medicine, and then away you go, and your life's all fixed. That's not actually the case. You need somebody there that can help you navigate it, which is energetically and psychologically. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but as you get to know me, it's I'm kind of saying this from a space of truth, but I'm profoundly quite wise for the age that I am. And the
Mm.
stuff that I'm able to navigate with people shouldn't necessarily happen at the age that I am. But ultimately, we really break through that with the integration. That's the most important part. Sometimes you do these journeys, you go, oh, that was great, this was fun. But then when you actually understand it on a psychological level and what you're actually being shown by the spirits or from your own subconscious, we can navigate it far more powerful. And that's where the real work comes in, is the integration of it.
Because they say one ceremony, and I don't know if you agree with it, but I agree with it, that one ceremony can be like 10 years of therapy because you're going straight into unconscious
Yeah.
territory, blind spots, shadows, which you haven't dealt with. And the medicine really accelerates your healing journey. And it really helps you, especially like if you're on the twin flame journey, for example, where you are having to deal with your direct mirror. Everyone is your mirror, but twin flame is your direct mirror, and you're dealing with shadow sides and loads of ego deaths, and you're accelerating very, very fast. It's very, very useful to kind of like face what you've been running away from, I guess. Now, you also blow smoke and water. Can you tell us about what's that about as well?
Um, so obviously there's quite a lot you spoke about there, so we'll definitely want to dive into that at some point. But from the question you've just had there about blowing the smoke in the water, so if I'm working with Mapacho, again, I work in many different ways. So it depends on kind of what's going on in that moment. But working with Mapacho, as I mentioned, he's a great spirit that can really come through and protect us, or he can be a cleanser. So some shamans, especially what you'll find a lot more in kind of South America side of things, because I've got some Andes training with me, is that they'll work a lot with Mapacho, with grandfather tobacco, and they'll cleanse. So sometimes I'm cleansing the energies, etc. The other one is, which many people have heard of, I'm guessing, is Florida water, which is very beautiful. And basically this can also cleanse your energy. So a lot of us have energies around us that we're not aware of. So one thing we haven't spoken about is a grib ceremony that we will be doing. And we have a lot of energy that's around us that shouldn't be there. So that's a really good cutting through, clearing the way of the energies in that moment of what's arising. It doesn't remove everything, but it definitely allows us to cut through some stuff that shouldn't be there.
And then we're also be offering one-to-one sessions. So not only coaching with me, and I'll talk about the things that I'll offer later, I guess, but I offer hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, inner child, angelic light code healing, NLP, all sorts of other things as well. So that's that. But you'll be offering things as well. And I know when I've worked with you, I remember one time you were bashing drums and you had me screaming for an hour, and I couldn't talk for the next day, and I had a live as well. But you get all the stuff out. I was dealing with my father issues then. It was amazing. And then also once you drew a scorpion out of what was it, seeds or
Black
something?
sesame seeds, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're doing all sorts of other things as well. So like one to one, because we're aiming to give everyone at least one session with you, one to one as well, maybe about up to 2 hours long or less or more, depending. But what are the things that, so because someone did ask a question, and we'll get into that question about do we have to do the medicine? But firstly, what things can people expect on their one to ones with you? Because you're a coach as well. You're a coach. Well, you help, mentor, coach.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want to define it, but you're very intuitive and you know things, right? And you help people.
Yeah, so again, it's very bespoke to the person, what it is that they want. So coming to see myself, it's not a kind of a play of, hey, this is how it's going to be, and this is the set routine. And like you said earlier, you've had, a few sessions with me, and all of them have been very different. And, we can work with what it is that you say to me, or I can just go, you can sit in front of me, I'll go, right, this is going on, that's going on, this is going on, that's going on, you're hiding this, you're doing that, you're doing this is how we're going to work through it. And I'm listening to the spirits at that point and navigating it. Now, everybody's different with how they want to work and how the spirits want to bring information through. So there's that way. You can say, this is what I've got going on, or you can say, Ryan, I don't know what's happening. Can you just figure this out? And I'll do it, which is quite profound for many people. But in essence, I kind of list off some of the things because it's a huge amount that I do. I'm not even joking. You could have 10 sessions and every single one of them will be absolutely different, not even the same. So,
Mhm.
having one session with me will really be a good space to really open things up that you're dealing with in that moment. But we may find that there's more that we want to kind of navigate. And obviously, Manny, you're there to hold that space with them too. So, we're both available in that moment. But so inner child, yes, we can work with inner child if needed. Probably not in that space. That probably won't be what we need to navigate. But I'll actually help you find the parts of yourself that you've given away, your soul fragments, a soul loss. So we actually go and find those parts and bring them back for us and understand how we are living our life subconsciously because of the parts that are still living in the past. So there's that. We've then got kind of your usual stuff where you kind of work through your chakra points. And I'm kind of going over this because it's a bit blasé in the way that this is quite simple stuff, doing chakras. But yeah, we can get everything aligning up. But the one thing that I'll tell you right now is that I don't just go, oh, yeah, this was blocked, that was blocked, this was blocked. I go, no, what is the root cause of what is happening? Why is this an issue? Because the thing is I never want to be in the position where people are having to kind of constantly keep seeing me and be a
Mhm.
patient because it means that you're not healed as such. So I make
Mhm.
sure that I find out exactly what's causing that issue. And if I can remove the energy, which I do, remove the energy, but if there's a story that's behind it, I will tell you the story and help you navigate that so you break out of that loop. Because if you're constantly seeing me for the same issue, I'm not doing my job right. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't get people to book in big blocks, because I don't believe in that. I believe that we should be on the journey that it needs to be for you, and we navigate with the root of it. And if I can get you in and out in one session and it's changed your life, that's great for me. I'm not interested in you coming back 5, 10 times. It's not about that. So you've got a bit of chakra stuff. We've got organ cleansing, so we can hold energy in our organs. Again, kind of going through that. One ceremony which is really powerful, probably won't do it with twin flame, because twin flame is obviously your own soul. But we might find that you've had relationships that haven't been your twin flame, and you've lost soul fragments of yourself through that relationship. So one of the, I'm going to actually show you. Bear with me to get it out. One of the spirits I work, if I can show you that well, is the Lionhead Dakini, Sing the Dongma. So there's a ceremony which I posted today, which is a reclaim ceremony. Let's pop that back on there. Which is a reclaim ceremony that allows us, bear with me, there we go. It's a reclaim ceremony that allows us to, in essence, reclaim the soul parts that we've given away in relationships. So that could be with our mother, it could be with our father, it could be with other relationships. And I will tell you what parts you've given away and bring those back. So again, there's a whole ceremony of that, very traditional, very old ceremony that we'll bring through. We've got obstacle ceremonies, which we can work with some of these spirits. No. I'll say the names and you can Google them if you want. One of them is known as Dorja Porba, Varjakilya, and the other one is known as Mahakala. So I do work with them guys. They're extremely powerful, very, very powerful. And
So
I've got
you work with a lot of Buddhists, right? Is that correct? Or
So I am a Buddhist, so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. I am a Buddhist, but also these empowerments are shamanic empowerments. And shamanism and Buddhism very much are very connected. So if you want to learn more about that, happy to talk about it. But we would be here, I'm not joking, for another hour if I try and
this
explain it.
is this Tibetan Buddhism? It's called what is it Tibetan Buddhism that you practice? Or
Mahakala, yeah. So it's Tibetan
yeah,
shamanism. Tibetan
okay.
shamanism is what I'm kind of working with. And so these spirits you will find in Buddhism and you'll find in shamanism. So again, spoke about Nicholas Breezewood at the beginning. Go check out his book. It'll make a lot of sense then, but they very much interlink with each other. So these guys can come through, work through me, and we can remove the obstacles that you're struggling with in your life. So you might find during the retreat there's something that you really can't move past, and we actually work through that ceremony and we break through that obstacle. And these guys are what you call wrathful, meaning that they're very quick acting, very direct. In such way, I like to explain this is that imagine that a child runs across the road and we would go, hey, don't go there. Don't run across the road. These guys, they will grab you by your hair, by your clothes, by your fingers, by your legs, whatever it is. They're very compassionate because they love you, but they're very direct. They're not messing around, and they'll yank you back and they'll go, right, don't mess around now. So some of the ceremonies that I do are very direct. They very much cut through. Like an arrow being shot through the illusion of the realities that we live in, these guys are the ones firing that. So we break through that to allow us to kind of connect through. One of the things we will be doing is a grip ceremony, which is what you spoke about with the scorpion. This is a really old practice. Again, the stuff I kind of bring through the ceremonial stuff is thousands of years old, very tried and tested. And what this does is it removes all this gunk that's around us. And people talk about their aura, so it's like we hold this energy, this imprint within us that shouldn't be there. All of our trauma can stay within our energy field or within our bodies as well, that shouldn't be there. And the grip ceremony is like getting a real good scrub and cleaning everything out of you, getting everything working correctly. Extremely powerful ceremony. If anybody's interested in reading some more reviews, please go read some more Google reviews and you'll see, there was one lady on there that left a review. Read it for yourself, but she had 9 years of PTSD, and one session we removed that. That's how powerful this stuff really is. The people are leaving reviews. If I was to fake them, it'd be absolutely incredible. They're genuine people that have left these really amazing reviews. So there's that. Oh God, there's so much power
But Ryan,
retrievals.
you are
Yeah.
a very genuine person and you're very loving, and that's why you're not after like taking advantage of people, and that's why I want to work with you. But it's just you feel the energy when you're very you I don't know. I feel very safe when I work with you, and I think that's really important for the people watching, that you're not gonna be left, and you're gonna be there for them, and I think that's really important. I don't know if you had anything else, because I have a question that someone asked, but did you want to say anything else, or sorry, I cut.
No, I mean, to be honest, like I said, I'd be here for ages explaining everything I do. Like, there's
Yeah,
huge
you do
amounts
so
of it.
much.
A lot, a
Yeah.
lot.
We had one question from someone which said, and someone's asked this before as well in a one-to-one session with me. Do you have to do the plant medicine? What if you don't want to take any stimulants? What if you don't want to um, do those kind of things? Like, what is your answer to that? For me, it is why. What are you afraid of? Why do you not? If you're on the twin flame journey, especially, you have to unearth every part of your darkness and bring it to light. What are you afraid of that's stopping you from actual union or peace on the journey? Because that's your block there. But what do you think?
There's kind of two parts to it. I think you're absolutely right on one part, but I'm going to start on the other part actually, which is the part that it's not for everybody. Not everybody is made out to need to work with medicine. And as I've just mentioned, I've worked with some people without plant medicine and they've had absolute life-changing experiences. And I've changed a lot of people's lives. Um, and the truth of the matter is that sometimes you don't have the calling to it. But I would ask yourself, is this retreat the right one for you if the medicine is involved in that process? And kind of coming into that space is, why wouldn't you want to do it? What are the fears that's coming up? Is it maybe because you've got a misunderstanding? Is it because you've heard of all these stories of these people that have held space that haven't held the space correctly? Like you've just said there, Manny, like, I will be there. If we're there for hours, for 12 hours, and I've got to sit on the floor with you crying, I'll do that. That's absolutely no problem for me. I couldn't care less. I'm here to fully sharpen whatever that takes. But not everybody else is in that space, and I think that's really important. So I would probably say, what is it specifically that's bringing that feeling up of not wanting to do it? The cacao, definitely such a beautiful ceremony, and out of all of the medicines that we work with, that is the most lightest one.
Mhm.
The Sananga and Hape, absolutely. Again, the only time you wouldn't do it is if you've got health issues, things like that, which obviously will navigate, through that process to go, hang on, actually, this isn't right for you. But other than that, that's a very powerful medicine. And also, your dosage will be according to you as a person and the sensitivity. And I'm very intuitive in that side as well. So you'll never get too much. You'll get exactly what you need. That's really important to know. And then
And
kind of
yeah.
coming yeah, and then coming into the plant medicine side of that is that, again, if you're somebody who's had severe anxiety, psychosis, things like that, then I definitely wouldn't want to go into working with medicine. And I can see here I took so many drugs as a teenager and abused them at 15 years sober. Okay, that's really important. There is the relationship you've had, and the word that you've used there, is it Bex? Bex, I hope you're okay me calling you Bex, but you've used the word there, many drugs. The things we're talking about here are plant medicines, they're not drugs. And what we really need to do is navigate that space perfectly with you to help you go through that. You're not going through this space of kind of going, this is recreational, this is that, it's experience. But like, we want to make sure we come into a space that is about loving and compassion. And when we keep coming into that compassion and accepting these things, it becomes so much lighter. And everybody talks about surrendering, and obviously we'll go into this into the retreat a lot more, but there's a space of surrendering that kind of comes up. Now, with the bad anxiety you've mentioned here in the and being paranoid, there could be other factors that's actually playing in for you personally. It might be worthwhile sending me a message or dropping me a message on WhatsApp, and we can have a bit more of a chat about it to help you navigate it when it's a bit more private. But a lot of people in the world do suffer with anxiety, and sometimes it's the environment that we're in. Sometimes it's the and I spoke about grip earlier. Sometimes the grip we're holding on to. Sometimes our personal power is really depleted, and it's our body's way of trying to get us to pull away, to go, hey, this isn't right for us, but we're not listening to it. And for anybody that does suffer with anxiety, you may or may not be aware, but anxiety lives in the exact same part of the brain as gratitude. So it's impossible to be grateful and have anxiousness at the same time. So when you come to realize the relationship you have with anxiousness, you can go, hang on, anxiety's come up because I've lost the present moment. So when I'm anxious, I am nothing but present because I'm stuck with being anxious. It's quite ironic. So when you go, oh my God, you've made me present. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful for you. Give it a name. I say to people, call them Bob, Frank, Barbara, whatever the name is. And they'll go, oh, all right, this isn't that bad now. And then it goes. Oftentimes, with anxiety, we fight it, we feel it coming, and we're like, no, I don't want to feel this. And then that grows is like, no, I'm here, you've got to listen to me. And you're like, no, no. But actually, when we come into that space, we can really grow with it. So I hope that makes sense. And there could be, as I
We
said,
also have, I was going to say, we also have trip stoppers, right? So it's mushrooms, and the
yes.
psilocybin's the main one that is like the more powerful medicine. You can say the others are very gentle, but we have something called trip stoppers. And I was shit scared before I started doing anything, right? And you were so good with me, and I knew I had a very challenging twin flame. And I find like the healing is where the issues at. So the anxiety, whatever, that's where the block is, I would say anyway. But we have trip stoppers. So if you start feeling freaking out, you take the pill and you calm down, right? And you can also microdose. You will also check. You use a pendulum, you speak with the guides, etc. And the twin flame journey is a journey of total trust, acceptance, surrender, and plant medicine is one of the best ways I have found to do that.
Yeah, and it's a very it's so direct working with plant medicine. You can't hide from it. But everybody's dosage will be different. Now, it's only one ceremony, so we really want to make sure we've got the groundwork there and that you feel so comfortable with it. It's not a one dose fits all. It's a different dose for everybody, and that's really important to also know. Is that one person might have, let's say, a 3 or a 4 or a 5 gram. You might only have a zero point 0.5, but it's absolutely more than enough for what you need. So I very much listening to the medicine and how it navigates and how you work through that space with it. So that's very, very important to know that as well.
So we're coming up towards a little bit towards the end because unfortunately I have got a swimming lesson to go to, but we can go on for a few more minutes. And I've just got some like rapid questions to ask you actually. So another question perhaps people might have, how will they know they're ready to come to a retreat like this? How will they know that this is for them?
Okay, I'm going to come a little bit closer for this one. So hopefully you can see me talking to you directly. So everybody, let me going to tell you now. If there's something calling to you inside this and you're thinking, why do I keep thinking about this retreat? Why is it when a post comes up and then I'm thinking about it all day? There is something calling you to this. The thing is, there's far greater powers than me and Manny. There's things that we aren't even aware of that are leading us to this space. And people that have joined me in the jungle go, Ryan, I don't even want to go, but I can't stop thinking about it because that is what it is that you need. And again, this retreat has got a medicine to itself without even having to take any medicine. That's important. And there's something in here that is calling to you. So I would say that if you're feeling this, then you've got to follow through with it and find a way, and we'll help you navigate that process for sure to get you to join us.
It's so interesting because when I've done medicine in the past, like when I did ibogaine, God spoke to me and showed me every single event that happened in my life, and it was synchronistic. And He was saying to me, I construct everything. It's all divine timing. It's all the reason for this happened. The reason for this happened. And then I saw angels doing this above the skies, working us like puppets and helping us. And when I went back to Mexico again in April, the shaman was like, this was already pre-planned. Like everything is pre-planned and organized by spirit, by your higher self, or the God knows the beings that are there. It's nothing in our control at all. And there's going to be an opportunity for the first time for people to meet other twin flames actually, and to be in a place where they can actually do real deep work. Like the benefits of plant medicine is going to the core of it in a safe environment, and also like being around people who are very professional, they're very caring, kind, know what they're doing. And the retreat center is so beautiful and everything is included in it. So I just think why wouldn't you want to come, why wouldn't you want to surrender to the divine orchestration of what's happening and trust it really? Because when you are with your twin flame and you're in that third energy field, when you are getting into union, when you are with them, you have to learn to surrender to that too. Surrender to God, surrender to yourself, your soul, your connection, and medicine is not, it's not your enemy. It's actually beautiful. It's very friendly, isn't it? It's like working
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. Well, I think sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and that's when the medicine becomes difficult, is when we start finding actually that we are the ones that make life so difficult. And everybody's got different belief systems, and I think there are parts in our life that are planned out, but I think we also do have a little bit of free will in some areas of our life. In the fact that if we was to drive to Scotland, for those that are in the UK, or pick a destination anywhere around the world, there's many different ways to get there, but there's a point that you get there. And I think sometimes we have these different pathways of how we navigate it. So you're right, all the stars align to get us to these points. And I think if people are really connecting into myself and connecting into you, Manny, imagine that the stars are aligning for you to even be listening to us right now. And this is obviously the calling, because as I said, read my reviews. Many of you have watched Manny's stuff anyway. You know exactly how we're going to hold space for it and how we're going to navigate it. Don't question it. It's so important that you join us. And hopefully, with us being on here for nearly an hour now, you've got a good feel for our characters, or for my character at least. And that hopefully is enough for you to navigate. And any questions you get, please drop me a message. I'm a complete open book, and I'll help you navigate it.
And I do urge people not to let this opportunity go. Like for me, plant medicine has really shifted me on such a level. I was so scared of it, and it has been such a beautiful um, healing modality. And we're not doing this to get millionaires and to, feed off your energy or money or whatever like that. We're here actually generally to help, and we're actually generally here to serve. So if you have any further questions, there's a link in the bio where you can sign up, and then we can have a one-to-one with you online. We've got the timetables already drawn up. People are already sending their deposits in. So, time is of the essence, and just don't overthink it, and get on board and take your journey to another level, because otherwise you could be stuck in the same patterns for lifetimes or years. And people do, right? They don't get out of that.
Yeah.
So, and Ryan is very good. He's excellent. So you should take advantage. Like for me to have Ryan there for 7 days, you could ask questions and feel the energy. It's just so important, it's so valuable in every way. So thank you for, because we've been talking about this for a while. I wanted to interview a long time ago, and I remember when I had a ceremony with you, and you were like, "Oh man, you need to do your own retreats," and I was like, "Nah," I was so against it. And then people kept saying it, psychics kept saying it, people had interviews, and it came up in medicine, and I was like, oh god. So the powers that be bring you here, and we want you to all heal. We want you all to be happy. We want you all to, kick ass and do your purpose and live your life and be in your power. We really want you to be living that dream, and rather than suffering in silence at home alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So yeah, the link's in the bio, and we will see you. It's from the 23rd to the 29th of January. It's Basundari. It's a beautiful center. It's beautiful. Join us. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. On my home. On my home. Thank you.